Hello and welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our community action with the Million Mom Movement community. Thank you for being a part of this community. Today, we're going to be sharing about back to school success and how we can really support a fresh start and supporting children on the spectrum as we transition our routines and go back into the school year, whether it's their first time in school or returning back to school. It can sometimes be stressful to change our routines, waking up early, whatever that might look like. And sometimes having the additional stress factors of having to be somewhere on time when that's not always the easiest on our nervous system and our bodies. And so we really want to support everybody in having a healthy transition and creating really beautiful routines as we go back into the school year. And before we get started on our presentation, I would love to ask Amy if you'll read our pledge. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up for you, and you can set the tone for our presentation today and what we're really passionate about here in our community.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, Million Mom Movement Pledge. I pledge to defend the health of myself and my family. I pledge to choose organic foods that are minimally processed and free of man-made ingredients. I pledge to read labels and educate myself on all aspects of clean living. I understand that my actions today will positively impact the health and environment of future generations. I am committed to sharing this movement of many. I am the Million Mom Movement.
Thank you so much, Amy. And would you like to share a little bit about what this movement means to you?
Well, to tell you the truth, it's really amazing that I ended up here because I just joined Purium and I have a son who's in high school who's on the spectrum, and I saw this call and now I'm like, I am here. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. This was such a divine intervention. So I am really excited for this, as this is what I've been, my daughter's in college, my son's in high school, and this is what I've been doing with them for their whole lives. So it's great to connect with you all here.
Amazing. Thank you
Oh,
for being here, Amy, and welcome to the
yeah,
community.
thank you.
Absolutely. So, I just want to say thank you again to everybody for being here, for inviting people that this could be supportive to in your community and expanding our movement far and wide to support more families and more people. My name is Naiva Flory. It's been my honor to be on the council for nearly 6 years now, and I'm joined by Dominique Jeffries. And I am so grateful to have her support on the council, just helping to bring these messages forward. And of course, we have our lead host today, Anna Marie Sandoval. She is a beautiful mom of two vibrant daughters. She's also the proud wife of Dave Sandoval, who is one of the co-owners and founders of Purium. She is also the president of the Waken Foundation, which is a really beautiful foundation that has supported families to come out to their ranch and have little mini retreats and just be able to get the self-care that they need. Anna Marie comes from a background as a behavioral specialist for kids on the autism spectrum for over a decade now. She's been teaching and learning from children, and it's one of her greatest passions. So she is devoted to the mission of healing for families and raising knowledge in the neurodivergent community and advocating and supporting beings to reach their highest potential through holistic health. So without further ado, Anna Marie, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Naiva. Thank you for that beautiful introduction and for always being there, leading the Million Mom movement with such inspiration that you bring and motivation too. And thank you to everyone being on this call. Thank you, Amy, for that beautiful pledge and your introduction as well. Really glad to have you here and get to hear more about your story and your kiddos and just, yeah. So full up with gratitude to get to be here today and share today. I've been looking forward to this call all week. And I'll just go ahead and jump in because really there's never enough time, it feels like, to talk. So I don't want to waste any. But one of the things I want to bring it back to is what Naiva started us off with in introducing this call about how one of our methods of really supporting a body with autism or on the spectrum is helping out the nervous system and relieving pressure on the nervous system. So, therefore, not having more to do to prepare. We want to make less to do for you to prepare and less to think about and less for your child or a teenager or body on the spectrum that is starting a new school, or maybe it's a new business, actually, that we all need this kind of support. And so, one of the ways that we really feel strongly about being able to do less but gain more in our nourishing support for our bodies is our Purium superfoods. And my husband likes to say, and it's one of my favorite quotes uh, to repeat of his, and that is using addition through subtraction through addition. So I feel like a lot of parents or caregivers or maybe teachers or whoever you are on this call, you might be thinking that we're about to give you a lot of pointers on easy go-to snacks or different ways to, have little tips and tricks to make school easier. But we don't want to give you any more to think about. We just want to support you and your body that you're trying to support, whether it's yours or your child or your niece or your nephew or your grandkid, whoever it might be. So we're really in a strong belief that so many of our kids on the spectrum, people on the spectrum, have what we call safe foods. They're foods that feel really secure, that people know they're going to be able to eat and expect what they want to expect and get what they want to get and feel good and be able to eat that food. And a lot of parents and caregivers, feel really discouraged and stressed and unmotivated because of the heightened challenge that it is to try to take away those safe foods to reset the nutrition and nourishment on a cellular level for this body that you want to give the greatest potential to. And so it's a big challenge in a lot of parents' worlds on how to get nutrition into our kiddos, the right kind of nutrition that they need, yet not have to take away their safe foods and put more pressure on them. They're already going through much and trying to handle so many different things coming at them. And they're doing a great job. The last thing that we want to do when they're starting their first day of school and making a new transition for, that summer to school transition, as well as that from sleeping to waking to going to school transition, which can be a catch up whether you're on the spectrum or not. And so we just want to be able to give something without having to take other things away. And we have really found that when you flood the body with Purium superfoods, and we will guide you with which ones we think are the most efficient, the most supportive, and as well as tips on how to serve them in ways that feel really good to the person you're giving them to. But we really want to just lean into the fact that as long as you're getting these baseline nutrients into a body on the spectrum, that eventually that body will turn its own gauge around to craving less of the safe foods that may not be so good for the body nutritionally. That we don't have to take anything away from anybody. We don't have to start trying to shove a bunch of new stuff into somebody that like, oh, you can't have all your favorites and now we're only eating these things and we're gonna just turn you actually into a wall because you're like, why are they doing this to me? Why are they taking away what feels good to me? But we have found that when we really, really flood the body with superfoods, that internal intrinsic motivation and desire to eat better foods becomes. And so we want to share with you today our superfood recommendations that can lead to a pathway like this. And I also want to bring a really special guest on our call today to share her story, what she has done for her family. I've thought about her story every day since I've heard it. She's been really inspiring me personally on a big level. So I'm really excited to share with you guys what she's done for her family, how she's helped her kids and her husband and herself. And we are super blessed to also get to hear straight from her son what these superfoods have done for him and his journey through high school and being on the spectrum of autism. I'm really eager to hear from him. Gosh, what a blessing. So looking forward to sharing those two guests with you today. And without further ado, I'll start just talking a little bit about our products that we think are really supportive for this transition into school and always, of course. And then I will introduce you to Michelle and her son. And of course, we want to leave space for questions, comments, stories. We always welcome anybody that has certain tips or recommendations that you didn't already hear. We want to hear your voice. This is the call for you to get this space and time to share. Even if it's your story and a question, or if it's a story and an experience that you're feeling called to share, or if it's a story and a tip or just tips, or whatever combination, we want to hear you guys. So please feel free to raise your hand and let us know if you have an expression that you want heard today. And yes, and I will continue on here. So one of the main baseline products that we feel is super nourishing for the body is our Epigenius Kid Shake. It's called Kid Shake. Well, it's not Kid Shake. I call it the Epigenius Kid Shake because it's perfect for the kids. But it really is. I know many adults who it's their very favorite shake as well because of all that it has in it. So the beauty of the Epigenius Shake is that it has Biomedic already in it. So not only are you getting your protein, your fats, the vegetables and minerals that you need, but you're also getting that dose of Biomedic. So you're getting that gut healing. And one of the greatest paths of healing and calming the nervous system is through removing glyphosate and healing the gut and removing toxins and heavy metals from the body. So those are the products that we're really going to lean heavily on to help support our kiddos making this transition into school. We feel that if they are able to have these baselines, it opens up their capacity to be flexible and feeling good and joy in the other areas. A body with autism who is needing to have all kinds of different forms of regulation going on, from the stimulations in their class, the energies, the emotions they're processing, who knows what kind of sleep they might have gotten the night before, feeling some nerves to go to school, the anxiety that comes from the transitions in the morning. I am an anxious person when it comes to transitions, whether it's us getting in the car to go down to the pool or it's a road trip that we're packing for. I feel a little hiccup in my system when we start to transition. So I really feel and can empathize with our bodies who get anxious getting ready for school. And when we are able to have the superfoods in our body, like Epigenius Shake, and our body is already taken care of in nutrition and nourishment, then it's way easier to handle the anxiety and from all of the other environmental factors that are not controllables. So we take what we can control. We can control getting really good food in, and then that eases all of the things that are out of our control to be able to be flexible with them and flowing instead of a sharp brain that's like, I've already given too much and I cannot move anymore. So the Epigenius Kid Shake is a really powerful one, holding all of the needs in one drink. We really recommend that shake. Also, to start eliminating some of the things that are causing the cravings of those safety foods. That was a huge knowledge brought to me by Michelle. So I really want to share that she also really gave me education on this. So we can use our fulvic zeolite, we can use our ionic elements, we can use our even our apothecary actually is really helpful to reduce the toxin level and remove the uh, like toxic buildup from many years. And then the apothecary can really help regenerate and repair and get our kiddos into that deep, nourishing sleep that they were going to need for that day of school that they're transitioning into. Here comes my little one. She's needing some mama support. Come here, sweetie pie. Come here. So alongside the fulvic zeolite and the ionic elements, we also really recommend okay, let me come back to my thoughts here for a moment. Depending on the age of your child. Naiva, would you like to introduce Michelle for me? And she can continue to share her story, and I will continue on with the products as it flows a little bit further along.
Hi, little Philip. Thank you so much, Anne Marie, for sharing such beautiful knowledge and sharing about the products that are most beneficial. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and guest Michelle here and have you share a little bit about your journey with Curium, how you would and you were sharing with us just yesterday about your journey through Purium and how you found it and how you've been introducing it and implementing it with your family. And you guys have come so far in the last 4 years. So, Michelle, please come on and share. Introduce
Hi.
yourself to the community and then share your story.
I'm just wearing new headphones. I hope you can hear me properly.
We
Okay.
can
Well, my name is Michelle Larson, and I am a mom of 4 sons, and I'm a flight attendant and a happy wife. And my 4 sons are on the spectrum of autism, and so is my husband. And our quest to be able to help our children um, sensory needs, we sold our house, our business, and we left the city living about 5 years ago. And we moved up to northern Canada. We got some acreage, and we were really excited to start this new chapter. At this point, my third son was 9 years old. He's the one that spearheaded all of this because at the age of 9, he had never slept through the night. My husband and my nurse were fried. I remember every time he would scream through the night, it would be like electric shocks. When he was old enough to walk over to our bed, he would come into our bed and he would thrash around the whole night. So nobody got a good night's sleep. My oldest son at that time would have been like 17, 18, was already starting to show signs of depression. And the other 2 sons, my second son was very impulsive, and my youngest son was overly sensitive emotionally, where he would have a tantrum on the sidewalk if his socks were touching the wrong part of his little feet. Uh, or his sweater wasn't exactly where it should be. So those were our challenges. So my husband said, listen, we just need to get out of the city, move to acreage. So we were here about 6 to 8 months, and sadly nothing had changed. The boys were happier because it's beautiful forest, but they were not, nothing had changed. My son still had not slept through the night. My oldest son was still showing signs, beginning signs of depression. My poor husband, he would take about 2 days a week in bed, just in a fetal position, be able to cope with life, because having to raise 4 boys and making sure that he was a good father, it was a lot of pressure he was putting on himself. So we know, when I realized nothing was changing, I was very disappointed. I'm a flight attendant and I would commute to work, and I thought, all this sacrifice and no changes. That's when I heard about Purium. And when I was introduced to Purium, I never forget, my girlfriend said, she said, Michelle, do you know what glyphosate is? I said, what's that? Also, one other thing that really piqued my interest, she said a heavy metal detox, and that the formulator is autistic himself, and he's got a protocol for families with children on the spectrum. I'll never forget, I said, sign me up, whatever this is. The 6 of us are starting. Something in my gut said to me, this is what our family needs. Very intuitive. I'm very intuitive parent. And so I remember getting the boxes. It was the beginning, the first day of 2022. And I remember telling my husband, I just maxed out our credit cards and we're starting a detox, the six of us. He trusted my judgment and he said, okay, if you think this is a good idea, we will follow through. Cold turkey, let's start in 2 weeks and let's see what happens. Well, about 2 days, 3 days after we started, the son that never slept through the night, he actually slept through the night and he hasn't regressed. No more sleepless nights. That was shocking. So remember, before I started this transformation, no one had told me what I was going to see. I just trusted that cleaning out the body out of pesticides, herbicides, and heavy metals was going to just help my kids be better self-regulated. That's all I was hoping for. Then, about 6 months after us starting this transformation, our speech pathologist said, Michelle, your son, number 3, that's the one that never slept through the night, the most affected by autism. He was kindergarten reading level when we started. He was 9. She said he went up to reading level, 2 grade levels in reading and comprehension. I never seen him giggle. I never seen him smile. When you guys moved away to Northern Canada, she said, I don't know how we're going to do Zoom. I can barely keep his attention in therapy with 100 toys. I don't even know how we're going to continue our speech pathology sessions. She says, not only has he been able to thrive, but he has gone up to grade levels. That's when I realized we were onto something that was very special. After that, my oldest son, no longer had depression. And my son that was very impulsive, my second son, he no longer was as impulsive. Before he was explosive. Now he was just impulsive. This is a big difference when you have a parent. I'll never forget one time I had to call for backup because he was behind the couch and my father-in-law had to come and rescue me because my husband was working. So having children on the spectrum is it's every day there's a new adventure. And as I said, they all have different levels. And one thing that was very interesting is that the son that's the most affected by autism, he was always had horrible gas. His poor little tummy was always uncomfortable, no matter what we did, and they were all eating the same. So that's when I made the connection that is 100% connected. The gut health is connected with the cognitive, with the self-regulation, even their emotional and their nervous system. The gut and the nervous system are actually connected. So now it all made sense. I actually, through this journey, I saw so many amazing changes. I went back to school and became a regenerative health practitioner because one of my sons also developed alopecia. And well, with Pirium, it's alopecia is leaky gut and a very high load of parasites. And so I've been working really hard with them with the parasites, with a super cleanser. That's an amazing product I can't live without. I would just recommend that. Check with your doctor. But my son is, when we started doing the super cleanser, like he was about already 12. He was like 5.5 feet tall. So he was tall. So that's why I figured that we should get him on this protocol, and his hair is coming back. So there's so many gains we've had, but I want to say that one thing about, I love the way that Purium works, has had worked for our family, is exactly like Anne Marie said. We don't want to traumatize the children, because when the child is on fight or flight mode, the body cannot digest and it cannot repair. So in understanding the emotional connection that our own children have with food is just as important as what we're feeding them. So I think the education and the awareness starts with us, the parents. And with that understanding and that awareness, we can help our children. So well, for us, one thing that the youngest ones, I put them on the Epigenius, and I absolutely love it. So what I did with the Epigenius, I made it into with water and banana and cocoa powder, and they thought it was chocolate milk. And I just given some, and I was very happy that my children loved it. So it wasn't hard for them to continue drinking it. And one thing that that said in regenerative health is that you crave what you populate. So one thing I learned through education was that, for example, when a child has, or an adult, we have a big piece of cake, a chocolate cake. The body needs to use candida to break this down. We all have candida. The problem is when there's an imbalance. So it brings down 50 workers. And then because it needs to process this big piece of cake, The next day, the workers are going to say, hey, you brought us to work here. Where is our food? And it's going to send signals from the gut to the brain to feed me, feed me. And this is when the children are like, it's like almost like an addiction for junk food. It's not them, it's their gut biome. So this is why I love this Epigenius or the Power Shake. My oldest sons took the Power Shake. It's because you start populating the gut with good bacteria, fiber eating bacteria. So what happened with, I noticed with all of them, they actually started craving broccoli and sprouts. And it wasn't me. I'm not saying I'm a wonderful parent. It was just the gut biome was getting fed with this amazing bacteria. We're just as much bacteria as we are, as we have cells. That the body is very wise. So another thing about that worked for us amazingly was the apothecary. So my son that has never slept through the night, the first things I gave him on the when we started this was the Epigenius and the apothecary. And every night, they're like, "Mom, where's my juice?" And one thing that I like to say about people on the spectrum is that usually one of the parents is on the spectrum, usually, and use that to your advantage. My husband uses that to his advantage because they do crave routine. And so once we start sneaking in these things, what happens is they actually crave it. So now they can't go to school, they can't function without their super shake, their superfoods, and they actually ask me for it. Another thing, another tip I like to do with them, uh, packing their lunches is understanding that our food is electric. We're electric beings. And so I always tell my children, let's eat our water. So I give them really hydrating fruits like watermelons, melons, cucumbers, celery sticks. Now, maybe you come from a SAD diet, standard American diet. That's okay. It's just a matter of one thing, one change at a time will make a big difference. And it's interesting because yesterday we were invited to someone's house and they had a big bowl of Cheetos. And you know what happened? The boys ate it and they spat it out. They said, Mom, what is this? This is gross. And it wasn't me. It was their own gut biome saying, we don't recognize this. This is aliens in our gut biome. So it just goes to show that our children are very wise. We just have to give them the tools. I'd like to introduce you to my son, my second son, because I would like him to share from his perspective what happened, how I came home and I said, here's the superfoods, how he navigated through high school, because it's been 3.5 years since we've been on this beautiful journey, and what he noticed with his little brother. So this is my son number 2, Julian.
Yeah, so when we started this protocol back in 2022, I was about to go into grade 10. And yeah, she came home. Oh no, actually, I would have been halfway through my grade 10 year. And she came home and was like, okay, so we're gonna start this now. Here you go, here's your shake, and we're gonna be doing this for the foreseeable future. And okay. And so my mom would always have shakes ready. And I found it quite nice because then in the mornings, I'll say that I'm quite the night owl. So getting up in the morning isn't always easy for me. And so I'd always be like awake 10 minutes before the bus arrived. So I wouldn't really have time to grab food or anything. So with the shake being ready in the morning, I just grab that and run out the door. And then I'd be fine till lunchtime. And that was quite convenient. So I always had it ready for me. And as you said, eventually it was just something I liked. So I couldn't really go out without having it because I feel hungry or not nice. It didn't feel good at all not having it with me. And yeah, well, I did notice changes in myself. Again, she said explosive, impulsive. I can say honestly that yeah, as a kid, I was quite the temperamental one, always having tantrums. And with this, I noticed that my mood was improving. I wasn't as irritable anymore. I was able to control myself a lot better, self-regulate. And so I noticed in myself I was able to be more sociable in school. I had a lot more friends in high school than I had in middle school, maybe because we moved, but also I noticed I was able to be more social and flexible on my own. As for my brothers, the number 3, the one most affected with autism, he was always very, very difficult, very unpleasant, to be honest. But with this, he started to really become more reasonable, I could say. Like he wasn't as much of a crazy, just you can't really talk to them anymore. You could actually talk with them and he was able to understand things and actually have a relationship with us, because before he was just crazy and was doing always his own thing in his own world. But then I noticed he was more regulated, I guess. Yeah, as well as the youngest one. Noticed he was a lot less. He's quite similar to me in that he's quite explosive as well. He can be quite touchy, but I noticed that he was a lot more. How do I say that? Yeah, less irritable, less sensitive to things. So he was able to. I was again more pleasant experience with my younger siblings, and yeah,
What about your dad?
my dad. Oh yeah, him too. I guess that's where I get it from. He can also be quite angry, bit of an explosive person, but his mood has improved a lot over the years. He has really become a lot sweeter as a person as well. I've noticed less. He yells less, I can say.
Thank you, Julian. Well, as you can see, how this nutrition has in fact impacted our life, it's an understatement. Another thing I'm really happy to say is that when we started this journey, we actually, when we moved up northern Canada, my husband is very driven. That's another good quality of being on the spectrum. When you have your ideas, they can be very strong. And he said, "Let me build you a log house, Michelle." I said, "Okay, you can go ahead and build us a log house." I stayed flying to, I mean, bring home the bacon. And then he actually took the time off to build the house. Well, the business part of this, of Purium, have actually, in 3.5 years, I have earned what I earn as a flight attendant in Canada. So what a beautiful thing. The fact that just people noticing, my speech pathologist who did the program, my realtor, my acupuncturist, they all saw the changes, our therapists, they're like, you guys are a different family. And just sharing, just is a beautiful way that Dave and Amy have set it up. So I'm very grateful. Another thing my husband said, when I finish building this house, I will be putting a plaque in front of the house that says built by Purium, because one thing he didn't say to me, he said, when I started building this house, my arthritis in my hands was killing me. And I didn't know how to tell you that I don't know if I could do this after all. And my anxiety was keeping me at home a lot more than I wanted to be at home. So now I'm so happy to tell you that should be moving at the end of the year. It's taken 4 years, and he has built this house. He cleared the land. We bought a sawmill, we bought a tractor when we started this dream, and he has done it all by himself with our two sons, from clearing the land, the foundation, the concrete, and now two-story house. And I would like to show you, if you can see our house in the background. That was the house that my husband and my two sons, my oldest sons, have built. So he said, I'll be putting a plaque at the front of the house. So I just want to show you how this nutrition can really change. I'm not trying to make my children less autistic. I embrace that they're on the spectrum. It's actually a strength. I just think it's harnessing those superpowers, harnessing that energy, that will to live, and their strong emotions to your advantage. So that's all I want. I know that's all. If you want to say something, Naiva, but yeah.
Thank you so, so much, Michelle. And thank you to your son. Can you tell me your name again?
What's your name?
Julian.
Julian.
Julian. Thank you so much, Julian. It was extraordinary to get to hear from you. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us your heart and your mind. We're really, really grateful for you. We're really grateful to get to hear how the superfoods have changed your world and your family's world. And thank you to your super mama,
I actually wanted to
Michelle.
share one more story, Anna Marie,
Yes, please.
that I shared with you yesterday. Another thing that my son, I never thought, the one that's the most affected, I never thought he could live on his own. And now I can see that he will be able to live on his own. If I'm maybe, and you don't know what can happen to us parents, but if we're not here tomorrow, I know that he has the tools. And we had an experience. One milestone that he accomplished was that our religious meetings, he had the privilege of, he's already done it twice, where he goes up on the platform and has a Bible reading from the platform. And the first time I thought he was gonna dart off the platform, and I thought maybe I have to chase after him. We were in the first row and we were all biting our nails. But not only did he go up there on the stage very eloquently, he gave his Bible reading, and he was actually, everybody was amazed with the way he reads, because he puts so much emotion. So it's not just about a matter of being able to read, but also comprehend and put an emotion, which is something very hard with people on the spectrum, to be able to understand emotion and to be able to um to share with others. So that's another thing that he has impressed us and that we're very happy about.
Yes. Yay. Magnificent. So thank you for sharing that part with us too. And I ultra want to highlight another thing that Michelle said. We don't want to take any odd, we don't want to like remove autism or cure autism. Actually, we believe it's a superpower. We just want to help the bodies of autism so that they can find their superpowers and not suffer and struggle. So we only want to be able to um, help lift up all the superpowers that autism has to offer and help alleviate the struggles that tend to also come through the body suffering from different overloads and imbalances. And so, thank you, Michelle, for bringing that up, because that is 100 million% true to our belief that we hold here for the Awaken Project. And so, thank you very much. And so I want to just continue on. Also, I really wanted to bring out the aspect that Michelle brought up. It's super major also the way that she was able to replace her air flight attendant career with her income for Purium. And also really helps be able to support her kids and her husband, and her being able to reserve her energies for them and be able to focus on things like this, that changes everything. So thank you also for bringing that to the table of part of your story, because it's a really big part. So thank you for that. And I'm going to go ahead and continue on with some of the products that Michelle. Well, actually, before I do that, let me go ahead and take any questions. If anybody had any questions for Michelle or any questions about the products or protocols, the way that she did things, I'd love to open that up too.
So if anybody has questions, you can raise your virtual hand and we will unmute you so that you can ask a question. Thank you so much, Anna Marie. And thank you, Michelle and Jillian, for sharing your story. So beautiful. All right, looks like Norma has a question for you.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for sharing, Michelle. That's incredible. My question is, what were the like the signs that you noticed when you realized the kids being under the spectrum, or was it the doctors? Would you share a little bit about that just so we can have a little more awareness on that?
That's a wonderful question, Norma. And there's a few common denominators that as a mom, that I have seen. As I said, my four kids are on the spectrum and they look very differently. But big ones are like not liking change, not liking transitions, sensory, like there's certain textures that drive them crazy. Could be because they ate something and there's a texture that it makes them gag, or it could be like the clothing, whatever touches them. It could also be they are they don't thrive in public spaces. They need to be hiding. They need to be not connected. Another thing is not wanting to make eye contact because that's way too much sensory information. Um, Girls and boys can show differently. There is a term that is used quite a lot. It's called masking. Um, Especially amongst girls. So I don't have much experience amongst girls, but I do know that girls mask better than boys. Boys are more like raw. They're more. It's different the way they show autism. But also remember, there's certain common denominators. So for us, it was not until I had my son number 3 that it started this. And I'll tell you a personal experience story. One of my sons, when he was 6 years old, I got a call from the school that said your son just got caught outside of the school trying to get run over by a car, and he told us that he wants to just get hit by a car, he wants to die. That's was my son number one, and that was very big. And that's when we started this journey of going to a therapist, a psychiatrist, and that's when they said he had ASD, autism spectrum disorder. But he was 6. We were new parents. We didn't understand what to do with that information. And the psychiatrist said, he's not too much. So don't label him, don't traumatize him. We'll just help him with his nervous system here in therapy. He was 6 years old. That's my number one. So I'm sharing this story because there's so many ways we can cope with getting that diagnosis from our children. Like, do we label him? Do we not label him? Do we go after help? Do we not get any help? So that son, when he was 13, his brother was the one that started to show. One time he forgot to stand up and look at the garbage truck go by, and he lost it. He was 2 years old. He says, I forgot the garbage truck. And from then on, I had to put YouTube videos of garbage trucks going by just so I could calm him down. And that's when I said to my husband, I think he's also on the spectrum. And that's when we started the ball rolling for all our children to get them diagnosed, because genetically it's very interesting. My number one and my number three, autism looks very similar. And my number two and my number four, autism looks very similar. And even physically, they look alike, 2 and 4 and 1 and 3. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it did, Michelle. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this information.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. That was an excellent answer. Really, thank you for going into that depth and feeling open to sharing that with us. And then it looks like we had I see a hand, but I can't see the name. Sorry, guys, I'm not very good at Zoom. Naiva, do you see whose hand was up?
Yes, Elizabeth, please.
Elizabeth, okay.
Hi, Elizabeth. Welcome.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you, but we can't see
Okay.
you.
Oh, okay, hold on a second. I just wanted to say, Michelle, that was a beautiful story, and just taking a lot from that is just very eye-opening. I have two questions. One of them is, my son is on the younger side yet, so he's going to be 5 in November. And like, how much, I don't know, like, how much of like Epigenius family or like Power Shake can I give him? Because I'm trying to incorporate giving him some of my shake in the morning. Like, I was just kind of guessing, like putting just a little bit in his cup and then letting him drink it. And then my other question was, like, how involved was it for you to get your sons diagnosed? And like, was it a lot? Did it cost a lot? Or was that process for you?
Okay, so the first question, thank you, Elizabeth, for asking me. The first question is, I gave him couples tablespoons in water. If even they're little, this is just food. This is the beautiful thing about Purium. It's just dehydrated food. So just figure out the texture, play with it. If you need to blend it with water and banana, or if you need to put cocoa powder, whatever you like, he likes. That's one thing about also when you feed these children. Let's say your child loves chicken nuggets, let's just say. So what I do is I trick them. So for example, they didn't like chicken nuggets, but like if they like that type of texture of like chicken nuggets, what I do is like I would make potato patties, and I would put nutritional yeast, and I would bake it. And it was their like that finger food that they crave. So it's always kind of changing things for lesser evil. Slowly, don't traumatize yourself, because as a parent, there's a lot of guilt that is involved in getting a child diagnosed with autism. Now, for the diagnosis, I live in Canada. It's very different than in the States. Even in provinces in Canada, they're all different. We decided to go try privately, and I think whatever you need to do, if it's private or whichever programs the government has, you have access to, it's worth investing because just getting those answers. But even before you get the diagnosis, don't worry about it. Start treating it, let's say, as he's on the spectrum, and just helping him with the right nutrition to lesser the load, because they're realizing now one thing that is why actually why it's called epigenesis is because it's based on epigenetics. And that is the science that says that according to the environment of the cell is how the gene will express itself. So unfortunately, um, because of the toxins, because of glyphosate, because of the heavy metals in our water, in our food, what's happening is that those expressions are the worst expressions possible. So that's why we're seeing our children, this generation, children on the spectrum, have a lot more, be more affected. So just say, work with the epigenetics, like as in help the body by giving them this hypernourishment, detoxing the cell. You're going to get wonderful result. I mean, wonderful results in the sense that every child will be different, but what you're trying to do is help your child, give them the best tools for its own body to give the best cell expression.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Really appreciate that. And um, hold on, please. Um, and also, and I think there might be another question here, but if there's not, we can also go into branching off a little bit of what Michelle said, some different ways that are fun to get Epigeneus, because it is almost like a chocolate shake. And although it's really hot right now, um, back to school season offers a lot of opportunities with the hot cocoa kind of flavoring, or even like doing kind of a milkshake kind of vibe with it, because it can get that like chocolate creamy kind of thing, fudgesicle kind of flavoring. But I do want to check in as we're coming to the top of the hour if there are any other questions.
I want to share another tip, Anna Marie. Make it into
Yes.
pudding. So for
Yes.
example, you can use coconut milk, put chia seeds, and then put the epigeneus, then mix it up, put it in the fridge, and then it's gonna taste like jello, like a pudding, like a chocolate cream, like creamy dessert. So what you can do is in your just you need to refrigerate and let the chia coagulate it, and then you just put
Maybe
cocoa powder and vanilla, and that could be their dessert, but it's 100% nutrition. So that's another tip I would use for getting the epigeneus into the little boys, into the little girls.
Yes, that is a really good one. I love that idea. And then piggybacking off of that, sorry, my camera. Also you could do a really nice cream. Like you were talking about blending it with bananas, but yeah, if you blend it with bananas and that, and the ice cubes and a alternative kind of milk, it can make a really smooth, nice.
Yes, and another thing back to school is if anything comes in a wrapper, it's a good indication it's not a good idea. So minimize the processed foods as much as you can will make also a big difference in the little kids, because it's just you're taking away as much as franken food, things that have been food that has been engineered, that the cells do not even recognize it as food, and it could aggravate the symptoms of a child. There's really good interesting studies that they have done of the correlation between the amount of heavy metals in a child and their paranoia, their anger, their stress, because it does affect the children in every level.
And I see we're almost to the top of the hour, so whenever you're ready, we can start to wrap up the call.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think it looks like we answered everybody's questions, so I'll go ahead and begin that. And I do, since we're at the top of the hour, I'm not going to go into detail about each product, but I am going to list off the products that we believe can help support. Some of the ones are the ones that Michelle talked about. So we really recommend not recommend, we really believe that the Epigenius shake can support our bodies with autism, along with the fulvic zeolite, the ionic elements, our cracked cell spirulina, or any forms of our spirulina are excellent metal detoxers also. Our cracked cell chlorella is a huge cell repair as well as a gentle detoxer also. We also really rely heavily upon our in focus for our kids on the spectrum, helping their nervous system to feel more of a calm. And dependent upon the age of the body of autism, we actually, for adults on the spectrum, are feeling strongly about the power of the pineal clear and how that helps bring a serene calm to the nervous system also. And for those who are out of puberty age and up, the super aminos are an excellent source of protein. A lot of the struggles that our bodies with autism are having is the digestion of the heavy meats or different items that can bring protein. So the aminos being able to bring protein directly without having to digest else is super, super powerful. We also, of course, would never forget Biomedic is pretty much our number one support for our bodies with autism to be healing the gut and removing the glyphosate. And we also really appreciate the cocoa hydrate to keep the hydration levels going, because that can be a big element of feeling dysregulated, especially in summer and in school, putting out a lot of physical energy. And another really amazing shake is our green spectrum shake. Also, because digestion can be complicated for a lot of bodies on the spectrum, the green spectrum is a much more easily accessible to have just the bare necessities of what the body can really take in and not have to filter anything else out, because some people have different allergens to different things. The green spectrum is a really bare but super, super powerful potency for gently detoxing and dramatically nourishing the body. So those are our main our main supports for the body of autism that we really feel can make a huge difference in our lives for people on the spectrum. And I just want to thank everybody for coming on this call. It is extremely near and dear to my heart, these calls, and it's very special to me to get together with community who also feels the calling to learn more about this and give their energy and their space of their heart and their minds to this call. So thank you to everybody that came. Thank you to everybody that is going to share this call, because it is recorded. So if you have a person that you feel could really utilize the wisdom and knowledge that was shared here, please, please, please do somebody else a favor and help their family by sharing this. There are so many that I talk to that are not blessed with the knowing of this community and this resource of information. So I try to get the word out as much as I can. And I thank you guys for doing the same for everybody in your community, because we all deserve to live our highest potentials. We all deserve to be nourished in the best way with the best foods on the planet. Thank you to my beloved husband for creating these superfoods, and for Amy being such an amazing co-founder and leading with him this superfoods mission. I'm so deeply, deeply grateful. Thank you, everybody. And I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your week and an ultra blessed up weekend.
Thank you so much, Anna Marie, for such a beautiful presentation. And thank you, Michelle, for coming and sharing your story and knowledge with us. Such incredible tips and tricks of how we can support our family members or people that we know that are on the spectrum and help enlighten, uplift their gifts. And so if you're here for the very first time, reach back out to the person that invited you here or shared this replay with you. It is our honor to invite you into this community of support and help support you to really just uplift yourself and your family with better nutrition. And so the Million Mom Movement, what we represent is we are 1,000 people from 100 communities, each committing to spread health and well-being, as well as an economic opportunity around organic superfood nutrition with at least 10 families each. And that's how we're going to ripple this out to become a million and to also become a household name. And so we would love your support in that. If you feel inspired, please lock arms with us and become part of the solution with us here. And before we go, I'm just going to share um, how you can really become a part of this community with us. So we have a Facebook page. You can go ahead and join. All of our events are posted under events there on that Facebook page. So you can go and see what the next events are coming up. Our next Zoom next week is geared around family nutrition and back to school as well for everybody. And so we'll be diving even more into some fun recipes that you can include into your daily routine and things like that. You can find those events on the Million Mom Movement page on Facebook. We also have a group on Facebook, Million Mom Movement Official, that you can join. The replays are posted there as well as on our YouTube channel. So you can always find the replays within that group or on our YouTube channel. It's a great community group where we invite you to come and inspire us with your stories, with your knowledge, whatever you want to share about in there that is community orientated. Please go ahead and inspire us within that group. You can follow us on Instagram. And I put in the chat earlier on Instagram, we have a link in bio where you can find our Sad to Rad flip book, which is a really great tool if you're transitioning from the standard American diet and trying to make the healthier choices, because we know it's hard to read labels. It's hard to choose the best option. And we kind of guide you through that process in that Sad to Rad flip book. You can also find several recipe books in there that might be helpful in transitioning and using these superfoods and different recipes that might appeal even more to your children or the people that you're helping than always having a shake. So we have lots of ways you can use the superfoods and recipes. Please use those links. And then last but not least, we have a YouTube channel with over 300 replays from the past 5 or so years of doing these presentations. And so we invite you to use that as a tool for yourself and for your community. You can scan that QR code here on the page. It will bring you to the YouTube channel. Please subscribe. As soon as a new replay is posted, you'll get a notification in your email. And you can also use that as a tool for yourself. A lot of times people ask me where they can find a certain tool. And so what I recommend is go to YouTube, type in Million Mom Movement and the keyword of what you're looking for. So whether it's, support for somebody on the spectrum, or you can type in autism, or you can type in, pregnancy, diabetes, heart, heart support, different things, heart health. And you will find a replay where we've shared about so many different topics. So please use that as a tool. We're so grateful to have each and every one of you here. Have a beautiful weekend, and we'll see you again next week for a family nutrition presentation.